We all know that one person that is charming, smart, and fun to be around. But what if someone uses these qualities to get further in life without regard for moral boundaries? Alcibiades was the strategos, the general of ancient Athens. His life reads as the epitome of an anti-hero. Works about his life have lauded him as a fortunate and brilliant young man possessing of unheard beauty. Reading up on his life shows the characteristics of a man that did not necessarily possess a moral compass. It resulted in him doing everything he could to satisfy his hunger for power and honor. He played a key role during the Peloponnesian War, deserted to the Spartans after a drunken mishap, only to desert to the Persians after a romantic adventure with the wife of the Spartan king, and finally returned to Athens attempting to instigate an oligarchic coup in order to become a fleet commander. This is the story of an arguably brilliant loose cannon. Alcibiades was born in 450 before Christ in the democratic city-state Athens. His father passed away during his youth, after which he was raised by his uncle Pericles. You may know Pericles as the prominent Athenian politician, general, and one of the most influential statesmen, being responsible for the flourishing of the city-state. Alcibiades became an intimate friend of the philosopher Socrates. Socrates saw Alcibiades' unconstrained behavior and attempted to restrain and curb it, to no avail. Young Alcibiades can be considered as being part of the jeunesse dorée, the gilded youth, spoiled and rich, rebelling and opposing the established order. In 434 before Christ, the Peloponnesian War broke out, and Alcibiades was active in the military, seeing battle multiple times before he rose to prominence. After 13 years of war, the Peace of Nicias was negotiated between Sparta, Athens, and their respective allies. Nicias was a general of Athens and would go on to become Alcibiades' arch-nemesis. Seeing a window of opportunity to attain power, Alcibiades rejected the Peace of Nicias and became a proponent of a hardline, anti-Spartan and imperialist sentiment. He used lies and deceit to discredit Nicias, who was attempting to gather support for his proposed peace. The peace was established eventually, but Alcibiades did not refrain from his anti-Spartan rhetoric. 6 years later, in 415 before Christ, Alcibiades managed to convince and persuade the people of Athens to support an expedition to Sicily. It would be the greatest imperial adventure that the city-state had ever undertaken. The goal was to capture Syracuse, a rich and independent town on the island. Alcibiades was the commander of the expedition, together with Nicias, who vehemently opposed the campaign, and Lamachus. The night before the planned expedition, however, Alcibiades and friends got drunk and went on an adventure that resulted in the Hermae of Athens losing their package. Alcibiades was accused of removing these parts of the Hermae, though it is disputed whether this was not just a conspiracy by people opposed to him. Regardless, Alcibiades was forced to sail out with the fleet and would have to return to Athens during his expedition in order to stand trial. Realizing that suspicion would grow due to his absence and his need to defect, Alcibiades prepared information about the attack on Syracuse to reach the Syracusians. Having received the information on Athenian tactics, Syracuse managed to defend themselves, and the entire expedition was in complete shambles. And where did Alcibiades defect to? To the arch enemy of Athens that Alcibiades had been preaching against for the past years, Sparta. Mind you, this was during a peace that had the resemblance of a truce, and Alcibiades provided the Spartan king Agis II with crucial information about the Athenian military and tactics for the next 3 years. 3 years after Alcibiades deserted, though, a romantic mishap involving Alcibiades, the wife of King Agis II, Timea, and a child of Timea meant Alcibiades was in trouble again. According to Plutarch, Timea bore not Agis' son, but the son of Alcibiades. Well, Alcibiades could not return to Athens since he basically ruined their strategy, and he couldn't stay in Sparta as that was pretty much a death sentence. The only logical conclusion was to defect to the mutual enemy of both Athens and Sparta, Persia. Tissaphernes, king of Persia, welcomed Alcibiades. Alcibiades would spend the next couple of years advising Tissaphernes on tactics to weaken both Sparta and Athens. During his time in Persia, however, Alcibiades got homesick, and he attempted to re-establish contact with Athens. After getting in touch with Athenian leaders, he talked them into committing a coup. This oligarchic coup was to take place and allow the return of Alcibiades. Well, the coup did happen and work out. In 411, the democratic government of Athens was overthrown by the oligarchs. In the meantime, though, these had fallen out with Alcibiades. So Alcibiades, wanting to return to Athens, decided to go to Samos, as this island had withstood a coup and retained its democratic government. Thrasybulus, an Athenian general and democratic leader, received Alcibiades, who requested that he could speak to the troops of Samos. He was allowed to, and apparently gave such an incredible motivational speech that he was elected as general of the army. After a revolt, the oligarchic regime in Athens was overthrown and Alcibiades was installed as a fleet commander and Athenian general. His property was reinstated and charges against him were dropped. The Peloponnesian War was in full swing again, and Alcibiades won impressive victories as a fleet commander against the Spartans. However, fate, karma, or whatever you want to call it, caught up with him when a subordinate of his, Antiochus, acted against Alcibiades' commands. As a matter of fact, the reason for his second and last exile wasn't really Alcibiades' fault. He strictly ordered Antiochus not to attack a Spartan fleet, as they were vastly outnumbered. And as you can guess, Antiochus did exactly that, attack the Spartan fleet. He was completely annihilated by Lysander, the Spartan admiral, and Alcibiades realized this would be on him. He fled to Thracia, where he was assassinated in 404 before Christ, with sources stating that it was on the orders of the Persian satrap Pharnabazes and Lysander and Dirtich, Spartan generals. Alcibiades entered history as someone that was extremely opportunistic and managed to use his charm and looks to get further in life, disregarding those around him. This makes him a very interesting character to read up on and talk about, especially because his life reads like a ridiculous novel. At any rate, thank you for watching this video. What is an event or a person with regard to ancient history that you would like to know more about and perhaps see a video of? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing to this channel and see you next time.